Hello friends, today we are going to study about idle time. So what is idle time? As the name suggests, idle time means the time during which no activity, productive activity is going on. It is a time during which no production is carried out such as holidays, paid leaves, etc. So idle time can be of two types. One is normal idle time and second is abnormal idle time. Let's assume an employee works for 9 hours in one day. But we are human beings, we are not machine. So we cannot expect any employee to work continuously for all these 9 hours. He'll require breaks in between to get refreshed and energized. So suppose during these 9 hours, he'll take a 30-minute lunch break, 15-minute tea break, then when the person has reported for his work at the morning, first he might have to start the machine so that the production can begin. Now the machine can take say 20 minutes to begin functioning. During these 20 minutes, no production activity will be carried out. These So therefore, during this time, that is 30 minutes, 15 minutes and 20 minutes, that is 65 minutes a day, an employee is not undertaking any production activity. So this 65 minutes will be termed as idle time. Now, if we look at these three reasons for the employee not functioning, we may see that these are unavoidable costs. These are unavoidable idle time because a person will have to take breaks in between. The machine will have to be started and it will take the minimum amount of time that it requires. So these are termed as normal idle time. This time is treated as a part of the cost of production. An allowance is made in the standard time itself. But there can also be some reasons because of which the employee is not able to work, such as a sudden breakdown of machinery, power failure, non-availability of raw materials, etc. These are sudden situations and are not a continuing phenomenon, and these can be controlled in some or the other way. If we go in detail of abnormal idle time, we see that these can also be classified into two types. One is controllable abnormal idle time, and second is the uncontrollable one. Controllable idle time are those which the management can avoid if it becomes more alert and efficient, such as breakdown of machinery. If the management conducts regular maintenance of those machinery, then the number of instances of breakdown can be avoided. Non-availability of raw material. If the management plans the procurement of material in such a way that there is always sufficient stock in the warehouse, then this can be avoided. But there are certain situations which are not under the control of management, say a natural disaster. If the flood takes place because of which the employee could not come to the office or etc., that is not exactly under the control of the management. So what do we do with the abnormal idle time? It is not included as a part of the production cost because it is not a recurring phenomenon. It is shown as a separate item in the profit and loss account because in some ways we can control this idle time. It helps the management to fix responsibilities. Say, for example, if the abnormal idle time is because of non availability of raw material, the management can ask the procurement department to be more efficient in all future procurements and ensure that sufficient raw material is always available in the warehouse to prevent such instances from reoccurring in the future. So, we have seen what is idle time. It is the time during which no productive activity is being carried out. It is of two types, normal idle time and abnormal idle time. Normal idle time is what is unavoidable and is not under the control of management. It is treated as a cost of production and allowance is made in the standard time itself. Next is the abnormal idle time, which is shown as a separate item in PL so that the management can fix responsibilities to prevent such instances from reoccurring in the future. Now we are going to look at a few examples. So the first example is X, an employee of ABC Company Limited, gets the following emoluments: basic pay 10,000, dearness allowance 2,000, bonus 20%, other allowance 2,500, and employer's contribution to PF 10% of salary and DA. X works for 2,400 hours per annum, out of which 400 hours are non-productive and treated as normal idle time. We have to calculate the effective hourly rate. So, in this question, X is working for 24 hours per annum, out of which 400 hours is a normal idle time. So effectively, X is working for 2,000 hours per annum. Since it is a normal idle time, we are going to build in the effective hourly rate itself. That is, the total emoluments paid to X. Say if the total comes out to be 1 lakh, we are going to divide it among 2,000 hours and not 2,400 hours because 400 hours X had remained idle and this cannot be avoided. So let us look at the solution. The basic pay is 10,000 per month, which will become 1,20,000 per annum. Dearness allowance is given as 2,000 per month. Bonus 20% will become 2,400. Similarly, EPF 1,200, other allowance 2,500, giving us a total emoluments of 18,100 per month or 2,17,200 per annum. The working hours will be 2,000, giving us an hourly rate of 108.6 per hour. Next example. In this question, it is given that in a factory working 6 days in a week and 8 hours per day, a worker is paid at the rate of 100 per day basis plus dearness allowance as 120% of basic. He is allowed to take 30 minutes off during his hours shift for meal break and a 10-minute recess for rest. So we can see that the normal idle time here is 30 minutes, which is a meal break, and 10-minute recess, which is 40 minutes per day, which will give us 40 minutes into 6 days, will give us 240 minutes per week, which is equal to 4 hours per week. Therefore, 4 hours is a normal idle time. Now it is given that in a factory, the normal working hours is 6 days in a week of 8 hours per day, which is equal to 48 hours per week. Now, the total working hours of the employee has been allotted to 3 jobs. Job X is 15 hours, job Y is 12 hours, and job Z is 13 hours. So the total time allotted, that is the total productive hours, comes out to be 15 plus 12 plus 13, giving us a total of 40 hours. So we have the normal idle time as 4 hours, total productive hours, that is the hours that have been allotted to those 3 jobs, is 40 hours, and total hours in a week is 48 hours. Therefore, we have accounted for 44 hours out of these 48 hours. The remaining will be 48 minus 40 minus 4. For 4 hours will be the abnormal hours. So we have found out that total productive hours is 40, normal idle time 4 hours, and abnormal idle time is also 4 hours. We have to say how we will allocate the wages of the worker for a week. So the total wages per day is 100 plus 120 DA, giving us rupees 220 per day. So the weekly emoluments will be 220 into 6, that is the number of working days in a week, giving us rupees 1320 per week. Now, we have studied in the previous slides that the normal idle time is built in the cost itself, and only abnormal idle time is considered when finding the per hour rate. So the number of hours, number of effective hours we are going to consider here is 40 hours, which was the productive hours allocated to the 3 jobs, plus the abnormal idle time 4 hours, giving us 44. Therefore, the effective hourly rate will come to be 1320 divided by 44, giving us 30 per hour. So now that we have found out the rate per hour, we are going to calculate how much is going to be allotted to each job. So for job X, we have 15 hours into 30, giving us 450. Job Y will be 12 hours into 30, giving us 360. Job Z will be equal to 13 hours into 30, giving us 390. And last is the abnormal idle time, that is 4 hours into 30, which is 120. This abnormal idle time will be charged to the costing P&L account as an overhead expense. So if we add all these four, that is 450 plus 360 plus 390 plus 120, we'll get the total of 1320, that is the total emoluments paid per week to the employee. So with this we come to an end to the concept of idle time. So what did we study in this video? We studied in the video what is idle time. Idle time is the time during which no productive activity is taking place in the company. Why do we have this idle time? There are two reasons for the same. One is the normal idle time, that is the idle time that cannot be avoided, such as break, recess, machine setup, etc. This time is built in the cost of production. The next was abnormal idle time, which can be controlled by the management and is charged to the costing P&L so that the management can take measures to mitigate the abnormal idle time in the future and prevent such instances from reoccurring. This can be on account of shortage of raw material or sudden breakdown in machinery, etc. So, in case of any doubts, feel free to post them in the comment section below. Thank you.